Okay, everybody, welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. The League One playoff final has just finished. It's ended 2-1 to Wycombe Wanderers. They are up in the championship. Oxford will be spending another year in the League One. Obviously, Ian is incredibly happy about this. Ed, our resident Wycombe expert, is incredibly happy about this. So I think I'll just hand this over to Ian. Ian, what happened in that first half?
Losers, Thomas. What a bunch of losers. Unbelievable. Absolutely choked on the final hurdle to get into the championship. What a shower of shit. Oh, God. I think get rid of them all. Get rid of Eastwood. Get rid of Robinson. Everyone out. New start for next season.
Yeah.
But if you want to know what I really think, it was a close game. It came down to a couple of sloppy mistakes. Yeah. Fair play to Wycombe. That's straight out the bat. Well done to them. Absolutely amazing achievement.
So, Ed, tell us about the first goal.
Well, I mean, it was actually what Ian had said before the game he was most concerned about, which was that the Oxford defending set pieces wasn't a strong suit, and set piece scoring was very much in Wycombe's arsenal, and that's exactly what happened. Obviously, ball comes in very close to Eastwood, but goes over him, and then Anthony Stewart, who's obviously named man of the match at the end of the game. It was a colossal performance and a colossal header back across the face of goal. It's actually going parallel with the goal line and appears to be deflected off Eastwood, who's fully committed to trying to get the ball at this point, and ends up in the back of the net. I mean, they all count, and that happened within the first 10 minutes. And for me, Oxford were rattled by that naturally, but didn't really recover until they had the chance to decompress and chat with Carl Robinson, probably at the water break after about 22 minutes. And for that first period, Wycombe were in complete control.
We saw the water break. I think, having watched Oxford against Portsmouth, we expected that this water break would kind of rejuvenate them. And Oxford ended up having 75% possession in the first half. But Ian, did it feel like you were in control of the game as an Oxford fan at that point?
It got better after the drinks break. I wouldn't say I felt in control of the game. I don't think Oxford gave a really good account of themselves all the way through the match, really. I think I've seen them play a lot better on so many games this season. Absolutely right. I think they were rattled early by that early goal, and it took them a long time to get into any stride. Sykes, I thought, had a really good game for Oxford. He was the one. He looked the most creative spark out of the guys from midfield, I thought.
Well, you mentioned Sykes, so second half kicks off, and Oxford are completely dominant, and that 75% possession actually looked like dangerous. And Sykes hits a cross-come shot that goes over Alsop's head. And it
was a little bit. It felt a little bit reminiscent of Robinson in his first season. Really, it felt like a game. Countless games I saw 2 seasons ago where Oxford would dominate the game, have a lot of possession, have chances, but find it really difficult to score. And this season they've done so much better at sticking the ball away, which is frustrating in this match. But yeah, Sykes, it was a bit of a lucky strike, wasn't it? Really, I mean, he's got down the right hand side. It's a cross, and it's just looped over Alsop and gone in the back of the net. Oxford, did they deserve it? I thought, yeah, you could say they did. I mean, Wycombe defended really well, and that was always their game plan. Oxford needed a bit of luck, and they got it.
Yeah, so it's 1-1, and Oxford look like they're in complete control. And Henry, inexplicably, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, decides to try and pass it across to get the ball to Taylor. Stewart with another match-saving tackle to keep it at 1-1. And at that point, Ed, as a Wycombe supporter, how did you feel? Because it was tight at that point.
I'm actually just looking at Bayo Akinfenwa's post-match interview now. I don't know if you guys still have it on, but you can see the character. You can see what he means to at the moment. I mean, it looks brilliant. I will have to watch that back in a little bit. Let's not mince our words. Wycombe at that point, having conceded that goal, we're hanging on. Fundamentally, and this isn't this game per se. In any game, I really don't subscribe to the concept of deserving things in football. They either happen or they don't happen. But for me, the way that Oxford came out in that second half, I mean, we said it on the stream, it was like a completely different team. And all of a sudden, I was seeing what the hype about their fast, free-flowing style was really about. And it was really, really easy on the eye. What it didn't yield was clear-cut chances prior to that goal. I mean, as Ian says, there's absolutely no doubt that that was intended to be a cross, but that's what deceived Allsop. We were all anticipating that was going to be a cross, and obviously he just catches it on the angle that it just loops over Allsop's head. And at that point, as I say, Wycombe absolutely hanging on. And Ian rather poignantly said, I hope we don't regret these missed chances later. Their second goal in terms of the way they played or how it happened. But as we did say, it was a total textbook lesson in taking a gamble, wasn't it?
You take a gamble and you take the lead. And Ian, as an Oxford supporter, that goal, like, I know
completely out of nothing. It's completely out of nothing. Oxford had chances, and Stewart or Allsop managed to sort of thwart them just at the end, and they couldn't take them. And it was from a Wycombe point of view, a great bit of opportunistic striking from Obafemwa, is it? Is that?
Yeah, it's Obafemwa.
He's really gambled on it and done really well. From Oxford's point of view, it's just awful. Elliot Moore's just inexplicably ducked out of a ball he could have taken on the chest or even just headed out of play, thinking it's going to run through to Eastwood. And, unfortunately, the guy got there before Eastwood, fouled him, gave away the penalty. It looked like Wycombe, if Wycombe were going to get a second goal, it looked like it was going to be from something like a mistake or a set piece. And that's where it came from. Yeah.
And so like you said, the final 10 minutes or 15 minutes, really, I want to say it was all Oxford, but it felt a bit over.
Amount to too much. That was the thing. I mean, Oxford was certainly in possession of the ball and what have you, but it didn't amount to too much in the way of gilt-edged chances. There were a couple of chances where you sat there and thought, oh, that's quite, at this stage in the game, you've got to maybe do better with that. I think there was a header from Taylor where he just seemed to jump a little bit early. The ball was a bit too high and he couldn't get himself over it to really get the power on it. A couple of things went straight into a very grateful Ryan Allsop's hands. And even, right at the death, you've got the chance to get the ball, in the old-fashioned Wimbledon way, get the ball in the mixer, which is, Ian, you say, really isn't Oxford style, but that's where you were at the time, and it flies straight into Allsop. And it just felt like fluffed lines a couple of times from Oxford. But honestly, I mean, Ian says if Wycombe were going to get a goal, that's the way it was going to happen. To tell you the truth, I didn't see Wycombe getting a goal at all. In normal time, I just felt they'd had so little of the ball that it wasn't really clear quite what their style was going to be to do that. And then that did happen, and as Ian says, probably the only way it was going to. As I say, I didn't see it coming at all, and I don't think anyone did. But all of a sudden, Oxford conceded and were rattled again, and were cast right back to the first 10 minutes of the game. And they really needed to be able to get things together quickly and regroup for that final 10, 12 minutes. Well, of course, it ended up being closer to 20 because of the injury time.
Yeah.
But they just looked so rocked and so shaken by it. I mean, Ian, have they been like that throughout the course of the season when a goal goes in? Or was that, do you think it was the
I can't really recall too many times where that's happened in the season. I can't recall too many times where they've been leveling a gap where they've made a mistake like that and gone down 2-1 with just 10-15 minutes to go, maybe in the early throw-ins of the season, but certainly not recently. So yeah, as I say, that was just a situation where I felt Oxford just didn't have the answers to it. They just, as I say, they got rattled, they got rushed, they started getting panicky, and their football was worse for it. And it felt, for me, Wycombe saw that out quite comfortably last 15 minutes.
Yeah, every time Wycombe were ahead, it played very much into their hands. And it's easy to say that when you're the team who's ahead in terms of goals and what have you. But for Wycombe, because they concede so much the possession, what was it? Oxford had 75% in the first half, and it's the first half where we're saying they were pretty bang average.
Yeah.
And yet Wycombe, 25% of the ball, they're happy to play that way. That is what they do. Often you see with teams, it's when they've, the onus is on them to actually go on the front foot and attack, that suddenly they're less comfortable. But
that's literally like Wycombe have literally done this all season. Wycombe have done this from the first kick of the ball. No one's given them a chance of like being successful with this style of football. A lot of people would have, especially after the season before, they nearly got relegated, and then had such a threadbare squad. A lot of people wouldn't have thought they'd be anywhere near promotion, and they've proved everybody wrong pretty much all the way through by being not by playing possession style football, but just being extremely effective when they've had the ball in a way you could say similar to a Sheffield United.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about that kind of style is that if it's working for you, then you're under no obligation to quote unquote entertain people, because football at this level is very much a results-based sport. I mean, I went to the Sunderland game, and we were saying before the match, or I was, that I felt that playing behind closed doors might suit Wycombe a little bit more than it did Oxford, just by virtue of the fact that Oxford would have taken, a small army down to support them. I'm not sure Wycombe would have had the same kind of numbers. But the support I saw at that Sunderland game was genuinely phenomenal. And it was of that style. It was the exact style Wycombe played. They were robust defensively. They scored one goal and they won the game. And that was it. And I don't think really the fans have got many expectations as to how they're going to play, but they want a team who are going to be successful. And as you said, Ian, I mean, bearing in mind that, they flirted with relegation recently, the budget they would have had at the start of this season, this achievement is phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
There's always more than one way to skin a cat to win a football match, isn't there? Like, not everybody dreams of playing the Manchester City way, but you just got to play the way that works for you, as you've already said.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's be fair, let's be realistic about it. It was a narrow game of football, and Wycombe are kind of on the right side of it. I'm pretty pissed off at the moment because I just not play so much better. But it's still been a really good season, and it'll be interesting to see. Well, it'll be interesting when League One starts again next season, and also what Oxford are going to do transfer budget wise.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? And we were saying just towards the end of the game that ultimately you were in a situation whereby your entire season for those two clubs suddenly comes down to 90, possibly 120 minutes with pens or whatever. And this whole season, for reasons we're all aware of, has suddenly become a year. And it is that kind of picking yourself back up again after that and having to go again. It just feels like the amount of energy that will require is,